My friends and colleagues, today I rise with a full heart and an overwhelming sense of gratitude. It's been the honor of my life to represent my great state of West Virginia in this great country of ours. 14 years ago, I walked in this building not knowing what to expect. I had just left the best public service job of my life as the governor of my great state of West Virginia. Everything I knew about the Senate I had heard and listened and learned from Robert C. Byrd. Though I was stepping into his seat, I knew I could never, ever fill his shoes. But I truly believed that I could continue to bring our common sense West Virginia values to Washington and do even more for our great state and our country. I really believe that in my heart. Throughout my life as a public servant, I have seen the power of good people coming together to solve tough problems. Sometimes we thought it was impossible. We did it. Now, as my time here comes to an end, I want you to know that my belief in the potential of this institution and each and every one of you that represent it remains as strong as ever. And I've said this, I believe in you probably more than you believe in yourself at times. You don't come into politics looking for fame or fortune, or at least you shouldn't. You come in because you believe you can make a difference in helping your neighbor, your community, and the country that's given you so very much. I was not elected to take a side. I was elected to represent all sides. The only side I've ever truly believed in is the American side, which I believe we all belong to. And that's why I entered public service all those years ago. This was not a dream of mine to be a politician or be in public service. And I can say with a clear conscience that I've always tried to serve the people first, putting country before party, principle before politics. Each and every one of us are products of our environment. We are who we are because of who raised us, where we were raised, and how we were raised. It never should leave you. It never has. I was raised in Farmington, a little small coal mining town in West Virginia, where we learned early on that the best way to get ahead was to roll up your sleeves and get to work. Pretty simple. My grandparents were born in Czechoslovakia on my mother's side and Italy on my father's side. And they all came to the country in search of this American dream they heard about. They were thrown into survival mode early on, and they wanted a better life for themselves, but most importantly for the generations to follow. They all taught me the value of a good education combined with hard work and the importance of helping others. Always be conscious of your surroundings and the people around you. From them, I learned a core principle. You have a moral obligation to help those who can't help themselves. Very clear. But able-bodied people who fall on hard times don't need a continuous handout. What they really need is a hand up to get back in the fight of life. I believe the greatest gift you can give someone when they're struggling is a job. It's not just about earning a paycheck, it's about dignity and purpose and the hope that go with it. I've always believed that this was true for government too. Government is not designed to be your provider. It's designed to be your partner, and the best partner you've ever had. The most effective government programs are the ones that people get to work. They give them a sense of purpose and help and build a better future. During the Great Depression, and all of us who know our history, do you ever remember the federal government sending anybody a check? Not one time did we ever hear that FDR sent checks out. He sent hope, opportunity, and we rebuilt America. We did it. It put people back to work, and that's really what it's all about. Government is there to help you during difficult times. There are Americans out there today, many, many Americans all over our great country that need a second chance. They really do. And we should give it to them. That's our responsibilities. For example, in 1946, the federal government intervened to stop a nationwide coal strike because it was destroying our economy coming out of the war. Something had to be done. In exchange for returning to work, the United Mine Workers of America received a guarantee from the federal government that their pensions and their health care benefits that they had worked for and earned would be guaranteed for them, for their life. Over the next 60 years, Congress had to step up to make good on this promise, as individual coal companies' bankruptcies threatened to take away all that they had earned, everything. In 2019, after Murray Energy declared bankruptcy, the entire system was on verge of collapse. And nearly 100,000 coal miners, not just from my state, but all over the country, and their families were about to lose everything, nothing to look forward to. Every one of us stepped up, Democrats, Republicans, worked together to make sure we fulfilled the promise that the government made 60 years ago. But somewhere along the way, government stopped being a partner and started being a provider. It's not good for people who end up trapped in a system of dependency and poverty, which we all have some in our states. Some of us have more than others. It's time to put the relationship between government and the people back in its proper place. When I started in the West Virginia State House of Delegates, I was one of 100. One of 100. Then I went to the state Senate. I became one of 34. Then I became Secretary of State, and then I became governor of the state of West Virginia. At every step, I asked myself one simple question: how can I be in a position to help more people in my state? One of 100, then one of 34, and one of one. And then the opportunity to go to the Senate to really do something extraordinary for the whole country, help millions of people. That question has been my compass, eventually led me here to the United States. And that's exactly why we are all sitting here, I believe. And when asked what my politics is, I never hesitate to tell you, I'm fiscally responsible and socially compassionate. It's the way I was raised. Again, you go back to your childhood. Where you're raised, how you're raised, and who raised you. That was it. Take care of yourself, help others if you can. As Secretary of State, I launched a program called SHARES, Saving History and Reaching Every Student. And no one had heard anything about this, but we had to do something because our voting turnout was low, and I'm a Secretary of State, and I had to get an insurgent there. So we come up with this program, and what we did, first of all, we went into the schools because they weren't teaching it. Democracy and education, everything that needed to be done in the schools wasn't being done. So what we had done then, we'd go in there and we taught every high school, every person in West Virginia that was 17 years of age would turn 18 on or before the general election could vote in the primary at 17 years of age. And then we had a contest. Jennings Randolph was the father of this contest. We put his name on it. And what we did then is we gave out certificates and schools of excellence if they got everyone 100% registered. And let me tell you what happened there. Once we got all the kids involved and got them wanting to go vote, now they knew they could at 17 years of age, and they were going to be 18 before, or those who already turned 18, they started taking their parents back, their grandparents back, their aunts and uncles. And our voting percentages went up tremendously just to get them enthused. I said, we can't get the old dogs back in the barn or in the house, but we can teach those old dogs some new tricks. It wasn't about who won or lost. We just wanted them to register. We never told them how to register or what party to be in. And I saw firsthand what we could accomplish. So when I tell you it wasn't exactly my plan to join the Senate, when Senator Byrd passed away in 2010, I had to make one of the toughest political decisions of my life. But I saw an opportunity to serve more people and tackle bigger challenges, and that weighed on me heavily. Our state was in good shape. We'd worked hard. I've been there for 6 years as governor, and we worked together tremendously. And I thought, man, we can really do something together. We'll come here and we'll all work together. And I have to admit to you, it was a harder transition than I expected. Coming here to Washington was so humbling. It really was. I came in thinking, okay, here we go. We're going to work together just like we did in West Virginia to solve the nation's problems now. Not West Virginia problems, but the nation's problems. But it didn't take long for me to see that the divisions here run pretty deep. So one of my first conversations with Harry Reid, and you know, Harry's conversations weren't very long, so it was short. He asked me to fundraise for Democratic candidates to run against sitting Republican senators, which I guess both sides. That's just the way that it's. I didn't know that. Where I come from, they take you behind the barn and we're going to have a little conversation. So anyway, I told him, I said, Harry, I'm not going to raise money to attack my friends and colleagues just because they have an R by their name. How do we expect to work together if I'm working against them when they're in cycle? I said, I'm not going to do that. And, of course, I didn't win the popularity contest with Harry either. But it sure felt like the right thing to do. Equally important, it felt necessary if the Senate was going to work on behalf of the people, we needed to treat each other with respect. And I've tried to do that with everybody. I don't look at anybody sitting here that I feel that's not my friend. And I feel very strongly about that. I signed an ethics pledge on the floor of this Senate to never campaign against a sitting colleague. Now, I know I have other colleagues sitting here that feel the same as I do. And I'm still looking for some more signatures. And I'm going to keep working on that. I think it would be wonderful if we just controlled ourselves and we wouldn't campaign against each other. But, you know, I'm a little bit persistent, so I'm going to give it everything I've got for the next how many days I have, and I'll still be around maybe even a little after that. Despite all this, we've achieved some of the remarkable things over the past 14 years. We set a new standard for wild and wonderful West Virginia. My colleague, Senator Capito, and I worked on so many things together, and I appreciate her very much. The New River Gorge became a national park, and we just agreed to acquire 2,700 acres at the Blackwater Canyon, which is the most beautiful venue. We've been trying for 20 years to make this happen, and it's finally coming to fruition. And this is going to be, the whole country can enjoy something that you just can't believe how pretty it is. So we're anxious to share West Virginia with everybody. We maintain West Virginia's status as an energy powerhouse. The Mountain Valley Pipeline is flowing. Companies like Nucor, Berkshire Hathaway, and Form Energy have brought new facilities to West Virginia and thousands of new clean energy jobs. Success in West Virginia is part of a larger American story of energy innovation and independence. We've always been a powerhouse in energy, whether it be coal, natural gas. Now we have wind and solar and battery storage and everything in between. In 2023, America produced more energy than ever. I want you to hear this. In 2023, we lead the world in energy production. 38,000 cubic feet of natural gas was produced. 4.7 billion barrels of crude oil, which is a record. 11 billion cubic feet daily of LNG. 238 million megawatt hours of solar, and a record 6.4 gigawatts of new batteries installed on the grid. Nowhere in the world has that happened but here, because of all of us. You can't eliminate your way to a cleaner environment. You've heard me say this so much. You can't eliminate, just quit using something. You've got to innovate through technology. That's why we funded the development of the regional hydrogen hubs and made sure one of them would be in Appalachian region. It needed to be there because that's where the powerhouse is. As I've always said, and this is one time when California and West Virginia agreed on the same thing. They were both in hydrogen hubs, and it worked out well. As I've always said, a pothole doesn't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. It's going to bust your tire. And we needed to do something about infrastructure. We really did. By focusing on investing in roads and bridges and airports, pipelines and broadband, and the bipartisan infrastructure law, which we all should be extremely proud of, we not only created jobs, but we strengthened the very economic foundation of this nation. We had deferred maintenance for over 30 years and done nothing about it. But we got to do the job that needed to be done, and we did it together. In West Virginia, we secured over $1.2 billion in broadband to make every resident have access to internet by the end of this decade. And we have some tough terrain to work in, and they're going to get it, thanks to so many of you all sitting right there. We also secured funding to finish Corridor H. It's only been on the books since 1964. We think we're going to get it done. We've been working a long time at this. With the CHIPS and Science Act, the United States is bringing semiconductor supply chains back home. We're creating good-paying jobs, supporting American innovation, manufacturing, and advancing our national security. West Virginia, like so many states, is one of the most patriotic states in the nation. We're home to many veterans and service members today. To honor our veterans, like each one of you, we fought to expand veterans' access to health care and prevented the closure of VA facilities in West Virginia. Every day we worked to improve the lives of West Virginians. Together we protected health insurance for people with pre-existing conditions. We brought down health care costs, including $35 for insulin, and for seniors, and established a multifaceted strategy to combat opiate epidemic. That is one thing that we have to conquer and that we have to cure. It's just unbelievable what it's done to our country and each one of your states. And lastly, since day one in the United States Senate, I have worked to protect, and I want to repeat this, I have worked, and I believe with every bone in my body and every fiber in me and every ounce of blood that I have, to preserve the bipartisan foundation of this Senate. And that's the 60-vote threshold of the filibuster. I believe with that, with everything in me. I do. Each of these victories required senators to come together from both sides to find solutions. These were bills that just made common sense. And when each side could take a little step to find common ground, powerful things happen. But with the successes, I've seen more than my share of missed opportunities. Legislation that was overwhelmingly supported by the American public, bills that would have significantly improved the lives of millions of Americans, immigration reform, background checks for guns, balancing the budget. Too many opportunities to fix what's broken in America that has slipped right through our fingers. Not because of any disagreements we might have had or substantive disagreements. These opportunities were missed because of the politics that got in the way of doing our job. It stopped us from doing it. I'm not saying that dealing with politics is easy. It's not, and it's messy at times. I've had my share of tough votes. And at times I felt like the whole Senate was united in being upset with me. So maybe we were able to bring you together. I don't know. I tried. Anytime I was confronted with a tough decision, I know you've heard me say this, I relied on where I came from, how I was raised, and who raised me. And I would just tell them, I can't explain this back home. It doesn't make sense. I can't vote for it. I'm just sorry. Please don't be upset. It's who I am. And you all have been tolerant at times. If it didn't make sense, as I said, I couldn't vote it. The stark reality is that we face some serious challenges today. In one of my first hearings in the Armed Services Committee, I asked former Admiral Mike Mullen, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, I asked John, I says, what's the greatest threat facing our country? Now, I'd been a governor, and I'd not been in armed services. I just got there, and I think I see my senators shaking their head. They were there with me. We asked that question. I was chomping at the bits. What's he going to tell me? He never hesitated, never missed a minute. He said, our national debt, which is more threatening than any other country's military might, will take us down first. The national debt will take us down, as it is most developed nations in the world. And that went through me like, I don't know, like just wildfire. So let me just tell you, today our national debt's $36 trillion. And I know there's senators here that feel the same as I do. That breaks down to $104,000 for every man, woman, and child in America. This is not sustainable. Not sustainable. This is something you all have to cure. And I know you will. It's terrifying to think by the end of this fiscal year, the U.S. will spend more on paying debt, interest on our debt, than we will to defend our country or help Americans everywhere. More on the debt than anything else. Our current immigration system is broken. Our southern border is a disaster. It's plain and simple. We must secure our border and support legal immigration. You can't do one without the other. You've got to be able to move forward. American leadership means standing with our allies and standing up against authoritarianism. We must continue to support both Israel and Ukraine as they fight to protect democratic values. We have 4 countries of major concern we talk about, and I think we're all in agreement. China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea. All of which are basically challenging the international rules-based order, and they simply do not share our values. No matter what we do or what we say, and no matter what we try to entice with them, it's not going to happen. They don't share our values. And lastly, inflation is driving our high cost of living, and it has to be addressed. We can't kick this can down the road any longer. But there's nothing we can't solve if we just start working together. You may not know this, but one of my favorite memories from this place didn't happen in the Senate chamber. It really happened on the boat. A lot of things happened on the boat. Anyway, I had invited, like I've done a lot, senators down. We had senators coming down one day, and they were walking down, and Tom Harkin, very progressive senator from Iowa, good friend, he was there, and he said, Joe, it's the first time I've ever been on the Potomac River. Been here for 30 years, never been on it. I said, good, Tom, come on, sit down, have a little beverage, and we'll get things going here. And about that time, he saw Ted Cruz walking down the ramp to get on the boat. He said, Joe, I don't think I can do this. I said, what? He said, I just don't think we can be on the same boat together. I said, come on, Tom, give it a shot. Ted got on the boat, Tom, and before you knew it, they started talking. I don't know what they were talking about. Probably wasn't politics. But by the end of that day, the next day, they started working on some amendments together and doing legislation. And that's just the power of sitting down and listening and getting to know each other. And we don't do that much here. It's hard for us to get together. We know that. We need more of that in Washington. I hope you all make an effort to visit with each other, spend a little bit of time. I'm not going anywhere, gang. The boat's still going to be there. So you all call me whenever you want to come down. We're going to get together, whatever you want. Many of our differences today are pale in comparison to the disagreements between the Founding Fathers in 1789. But they understood what was at stake, and they were willing to put their differences aside to build something extraordinary. We need to recapture that spirit today. To my colleagues, I'll leave you with this challenge. Every day ask yourself, what have I done for my country today? What have I done? Not for your party, not for your donors, but for your country. After all, that's why we're here. That's the purpose of us being here. We got to stop demonizing each other. We've got to argue over ideas. That's fine, but not personalities. You can argue over ideas, but not personalities. We are all elected, and we all should be respected for that. George Washington warned us about the dangers of the political parties dividing our country over 200 years ago, and we're living in the world he feared today. The easiest vote to take here is no. We all know that. You can retire pretty handsomely here if you just vote no on everything, because you know why? There's never going to be a perfect bill. You can always find something wrong. You don't have to explain no. You don't. Because half the country is mad at everything anyway. So you can get by with a no vote, but if you want to get something done, that's not the purpose of being here. Find another job. This is the vote where you got to take tough votes, and let's get things done. The political process has taught us Americans want to be for something. They want to be for something. Something that captures the hearts and captures the minds of people, that give them something to live for. It's not enough to just run against something or someone. Be for something. As I look around the chamber and I think back on the good times and bad times, I want you to know I still believe in this system. I really do. I believe in the purpose of what we have and basically the challenges we have before us. I believe in an institution of democracy and the need to cherish it. We have created something pretty special here in America, and no one ever thought it could be done, especially for 240 years. And we still can do great things. We can have a military that instills peace through strength while also having compassion. We can have financial stability and prosperity while still helping Americans and people around the world in need. We can do all that. You hear people talk about the American dream like it's some kind of a myth, like it's gone. We don't have it anymore. But I want to tell you this. I'm standing here, as many of you are here, because of that American dream. You don't hear people chasing the China dream or the Russian dream. I've never heard anyone say, well, what do you think about that China dream or that Russian dream? That's because the American dream is unique. There's nothing like it. Think about it. Look around. There's nothing like what we've got. It's about freedom and opportunity and the belief that if you work hard, you play by the rules, you can build a good life, and it's only the dream that allows you to control your own destiny. The only dream that you can control. Thomas Jefferson once said, I like the dreams of the future better than the history of the past. Think about that. I like the dreams of the future better than the history of the past. I believe in our future. I believe in the American people. And I believe that when we come together, great things are going to happen. We're better because we put around us all these wonderful people, these staff, as I look around. None of us could do it without them. I don't need to tell any of you how we feel about our staff. I have staff that's currently with me, and I have staff that have moved on, and I can only say thank you. I love you. And with that, they're the backbones. They do all the hard work, and they know that. And I try to say thank you as much as I can. I'm not good at it as much as I should be, but I think they know in my heart how I feel about each and every one of them. I hope so. I'm also here with the most important assets in my life is my wife, Gail, up there, and my family. I have my children. I have my grandchildren. I have my brothers and sisters. I have my brother-in-laws and sister-in-laws. I have everybody here. I just appreciate and love you all so much. And really, without our family and the support of our family, we couldn't do it. They put up with so much. I always wonder why my Uncle Jimmy, Uncle Jimmy was really a character, why he was so missing at so many of the functions we had at holidays. He was always out politicking somewhere. They had to have him here or there. And I says, my goodness, we're more important than that. And then I found myself 35 years old getting into the same thing. I condemned him for not being around. It's a calling. It really is. So to my wife and to all of you, I want to say thank you. Love you, honey, and love all of you all. And I love all my staff and all of you all. I know you're going to do great things. And any of you all are looking for good staff, there's some good people sitting around here that you're going to maybe want to talk to. So as I told you, the boat's still going to be docked here. Anytime you want to have a gathering, please call. I'll be there. We'll put it on for you. We'll have a good time. We'll have the dancing and the music and all the... And Chuck said some nice comments on the floor today, but he left out one thing. Every time we've been on the boat, one thing we've done at the end of it, remember? From Lee Greenwood, proud to be an American, we all hug each other in a circle. That's what it's all about. That's more what the country needs right now. It needs more of us together, listening to each other, respecting each other, working together. So, I would like to say this. God has blessed me and blessed you with the opportunity to do something for a lot of people. They're counting on us. And I think the challenges before you are going to be more daunting than ever before. But again, I've said I believe in you more than you believe in yourself. I know you're up to the challenge. I know you'll do the job. I really do. I believe in that. I'm going to be rooting, screaming and hollering for my team. And this is my team. All the D's and the R's and the I's in here is my team. And I love each and every one of you. Thank you for giving me the honor of a lifetime to serve in, I think, the greatest deliberate body the world has ever known and ever will know, the United States Senate. God bless the state of West Virginia. May God continue to bless the United States of America.